Hello, everyone. Nightmare here, and this is Whale FM Makersplace Edition. In this show, we talk about everything and anything art and crypto in the NFT scene with designers and creators alike, otherwise known as non-fungible tokens. My guest today is AlienQueen, the Miami-based illustrator whose vibrant psychedelic stylings tap into her dreams, rich culture, and life-altering experiences as a Cambodian refugee. AlienQueen, thank you so much for coming on and speaking with the whale community today.
Hey, thank you for having me. Um, I'm really happy and excited and nervous.
No nerves necessary. If anyone should be, it's me speaking with someone that can create such amazing art pieces. I have to say, we do a little preview of what's upcoming, and when people had seen just this KV that was created with one of your creations, they were blown away. Just an aesthetic that was really vibrant and really pop. So had hooked people, just from that onset. I'm sure this conversation is going to make you a lot of new fans as well.
Oh, thank you.
So, really quick, for anyone that may not be familiar with you where you work, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and walk us through your background and journey in art?
I've always been interested in art. I'm a Cambodian refugee, so I came to the States when I was a child. My parents are survivors of a genocide called the Killing Fields, and I was born during that time. And then we immigrated, well, we were sponsored to the US, and I grew up in Connecticut. Um, I don't know, I've always been fascinated with art since I was a child, and, um, I just could remember, like, I was drawing since I was, like, 3, I would draw really crazy, trippy things, like, my parents were like, "Wow," like, and, a lot of my artwork now, like, my psychedelic artwork now, it's based on my emotions and feelings, like, about growing up, um as a teen, like, just always feeling different, and a lot of it you can see a lot of smiley faces and a lot of pop culture I put in there, like, one of my pieces has, like, a troll in it and stuff, so it has to do a lot with my childhood and also, like, my experiences with, drugs, like psychedelics. I went to art school, so I experienced with a lot of psychedelics, and it really opened up my mind. And then I've carried it through into my art.
Very cool. And you can see right away that juxtaposition of like dealing with emotions and then marrying that with, like you said, things from your childhood and that bright and vibrancy, but there's still some kind of sense of I don't know, danger or, dealing with something almost in a cathartic way. I know you mentioned having experienced having immigrated from,
Yeah.
Cambodia under the circumstances that it happened. Were you young at the time? Were you older?
Yeah, so I was born in a refugee camp. Like, my parents fled the country on foot while my mom was pregnant with me. And they would tell me these stories. Like, my parents actually almost died because they were trying to cross the border to Thailand. And there was like a bunch of communists and thieves, like, trying to, like, they were killing people, like, so they couldn't escape. But my mom was pregnant with me, probably like 6 months or so, and it's very dangerous when you're pregnant to be like running. I couldn't imagine crossing the border. So they were like, they saw a bunch of like thieves or whatever with dogs, and like people were getting killed right in front of them. And then these dogs like um came up to them, and my mom's like, "Oh shit, we're gonna die." And like there was like 5 people with them, but the dogs like just like, I guess animals have a lot of like intuition, instincts, and like just like smelled my mom, and like she was like facing like a German shepherd, like face to face, and like left them alone and didn't bark. And then the next crew, they saw like the dogs barking and people were killed. So all the 5 people that, and they made it across the border. So all the 5 people that escaped with them thought like I was like a miracle. Like, and I think because my mom was pregnant with me, and I'm also born year of the dog, So it's kind of just like spiritual, like my parents telling me about these stories and that I was born in the refugee camp. And then I came as a child. I think I was like a toddler or something. So I don't really remember my
Right, right.
experiences, but I just hear stories. And since I was very young, and I just grew up to have like so much like gratitude and appreciation. Um, and it's also part of being an artist too, like naturally, like it's innate within me to be very compassionate and empathetic. But I feel like what my parents went through really shaped me as a person. And my dad is also an artist, so he has a big, um, you know, influence on me as well. And and then I grew up in Connecticut in a very small town where I was like there's only a few Cambodian people that were sponsored then, and I just always felt like outcasted or different. Like I ate different food. I grew up Buddhist and Hindu, so it was just so different to be in a totally strict, you know what I mean? Like all I knew was
Yeah, yeah.
so, like, going to school and stuff, I was really into, like, grunge music and goth and Pink Floyd and all that stuff, and I discovered it all on my own, and, um, like, the one of the pieces, like, called "Weird" is when I've always felt, like, detached from society, like, I always thought I was weird, like, because I was a creative or something, like, I never could fit in, you know? So
Right. Which piece is that here?
it's the one with the blue hair. Her head is, like, kind of detached, like, I tried to express that feeling, and this is, like, how I dressed in high school, like, I was into all this and smiley faces and alien rings and mood rings, whatever,
Right.
at the time, so this is, like, a mood, and I still currently feel that way in real life, but now with the NFT community, I feel like I totally fit in. You know what I mean? Like, I've found, like, so many, like, friends and this is just, like, an amazing community for me.
I love that you pointed out the head detachment because you have so much going on here. You don't really
Yeah,
notice that at first. And that's almost an analogy to, how people could perceive you, right? Like they could see you with these bright, vibrant colors and not understand what you're going through and what you're processing there and all the nuanced layers that go into what makes you you and what makes the art the art.
yeah, and then you can see like, it's crazy, I don't know if you see the text, it says "weird" and stuff, like, I just wrote it in there, and then there's, like, a troll because I loved treasure trolls growing up and lava lamps and you know, so
Yeah, there's a lot to dissect there as well. I guess there's the more you look, the more that you'll find, and thematically, that's something that we find with most of our amazing artists that we speak to. So, I'm sure the people are scouring your other photos now as well and your other works. You talked about growing up in Connecticut. Did you have a traditional education in art? Did you go to school for it?
so, I grew up in Connecticut, and then in college, I went to art school to become a computer animator. I studied computer animation, um, 3D and stuff. And, I worked in game design a little bit, and it's just very hard in the traditional world to like stick with a computer animation job, you know? Like I was like on a
Right.
contract and all that stuff. And it was just really hard. And I didn't stick with computer animation that long. I ended up like going to school for cosmetology and become a hairstylist, which is still artistic. Um, but I didn't stick with computer animation too long, only for a few years.
Yeah, there's a lot of burnout in that field as well,
Yes.
just in gaming in general. Were you in Connecticut still, or is that when you made the pivot to Miami?
Oh, I was in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, and I went to art school there. Um, and that's where I worked. So for a little bit.
Very cool. And just for context, I'm actually up near Boston, so familiar with the area where you grew up and spent a lot of time in Connecticut myself. Um, So you said your father was an artist and you always had an interest. When did you realize that's something that you wanted to do and focus on? You went to school to major in it, but was there a time during your childhood or high school when you said, this is what I need to do to be expressing myself?
I knew since like elementary school. It's really strange, like I just knew I always loved drawing like creatures and dragons and creating things. But my parents, they couldn't be supportive because they thought it was strange. Like they came to a new country and they just thought it was weird. Like, they are immigrants, they wanted me to be a doctor, or a lawyer or a dentist or something, right? And they could probably tell I was like a very strange child. And then the music that I would listen to, like Nirvana or Marilyn Manson or something, to them coming from Asia, from Cambodia, they were like, wow, and they couldn't understand that I was expressing myself, in a Western country and culture, and I remembered just really wanting to be an artist, but couldn't tell my parents that. And I would just keep trying, and then in high school, I was, like, in advanced art classes and stuff, and my parents would, like, throw away my paintings. It's actually kinda sad because I don't have anything, from my childhood anymore because they didn't understand, but I'm very rebellious. So by the time I was able to go to college, like 18, I was like, "I'm only applying to art school, and I'm doing this, or I'm not gonna go to college." And my parents were like, "What?" I was like, "I'm not gonna go to college. I'll
Right.
just work. I'll just go work at McDonald's. I don't care because I'm not gonna be, a nurse or whatever you want me to be. We only live one life, and it's not fair." And, then they, like, were like, "Okay, well, she has to go to college." So they supported me when I went to college. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because in high school, one of my best friends, his family came here from Cambodia. Shout out to Chan, by the way. We
Oh,
played basketball together, but I'll never forget we were listening to Alice in Chains, and his parents like were so angry. They were like they were yelling, and I couldn't even understand it. He was trying not to laugh at them. He's like, "We got to leave." They were so fired up.
yeah, because to them, I don't blame them because his parents are immigrants as well, and they were probably thinking like, "Wow, like, in Cambodia, like, they didn't have these things." And my mom was telling me that when she came, she, like, saw, like, it was, like, the punk era. I was, like, still a baby, right? Like, a kid, but it was all punk in, like, the '80s, And
Right,
she was like, "What?" Like, and, like, when we came, they saw, like, people with mohawks and stuff, and they were just, like, in a culture shock. And then they're like, "Oh my god, now my child is into this." You know what I mean?
right. So you're in art school and you're experimenting with psychedelics and you're learning kind of, what I guess kind of coming into your own as far as what your aesthetic is and what kind of things you like with regards to art and different processes. How would you characterize your art style and your aesthetic?
I would say, like, psychedelic, right? Like, I don't know, it's like I have, like, these visions. Sometimes I don't even know where I'm going with my artwork, right? Like, and it's always changing. Something will, like, unlock in my brain, and then I'll just draw something really crazy. Like, I just remember, like, when I was tripping, I would see, like, so many colors and, like, the flowers, a lot of flowers and a lot of colors, and then I was like, "Oh my god, I understand," like, in the '70s when everyone was like, "Flower power." You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and then I don't know, it's just like, and I have really vibrant dreams. Like, sometimes I think they're real, like, they're very colorful and very vibrant. So, I just mix that with my experiences, and I think my artwork, even though they look really colorful and bright, they're kind of like, I don't know if morbid is the mood or the word. Do you get what I mean? Like, it has
Yeah. It
like a
has like a darkness, like a sadness to it that's trying
yeah.
to be masked. Like someone's, using all of this stuff to not hide, but I guess mute how really sullen that they are.
yeah, like, I don't know, I'm a very positive and very, like, happy person, but there's something within me, I don't know if it's, like, a past life or experiences of my family or I was, like, bullied in school, so I don't know if that mattered, you know what I mean? Like, if that shaped me to still create pieces that are kind of dark, but still very colorful because 'cause I'm still a very positive person.
Yeah, so let's talk about it a little bit. When you are making pieces, you talked about dreams and calling on experiences that way. Um, is that what do you take for inspiration? Do you sit down and try to come up with something? Do you wait till something hits you? Is there something specific you try to call on emotionally or in your memory?
It's so hard to explain because I'll be, like, real chill. Like, this is, like it's weird. Like, my process is real chill. I don't plan anything unless it's, like, a commission, you know? So, all of a sudden, I'm just, like I'll be chill, and then I'll just get up and take my iPad or my notepad, and I'll just draw stuff that is just flowing in my head, and then I'll, like, do that, and then I'll, like, stop. Like, I can't plan things. They just kind of happen and evolve and everything and sometimes like my best work, I draw them really fast. Like I did a DGens competition. I don't know if you can go to my website. There's a picture of a DGens that I drew for the DGens collectible. And that really, I think, really unlocked more like for me to create psychedelic art. Like I first started with cultural artwork to represent my culture because, Cambodia's culture is fading. So all these masks represent a character in an epic poem, a Sanskrit poem. So I was doing that. And they're still kind of psychedelic, but you can still see my Cambodian culture in it. And then I entered a DGens competition and I felt like that truly made me feel like myself. Like I was so scared to draw strange things. Like I was kind of safe at first. And then I entered the competition and won and it was collected and I just was like so blown away by like everyone like loving it and stuff. Like I couldn't believe they liked my artwork that much. And then I just was like, you know what, I should just be myself. And then I started drawing more and more crazier and psychedelic things. And inspiration for me is really hard to come by because it'll just happen randomly out of nowhere. That's why I don't have that many pieces out. And I've been in this space for like 7 months, but I don't have a lot because it takes me like a month to drop a piece, and they're really special to me.
Right. And someone had actually asked, this seems so involved, how long it would take you. So some a month and some they come really fast, but
Mhm.
the whole process probably to complete it and you feel comfortable with it probably takes a bit longer. I want to make sure I'm representing that degens that you had
Oh,
mentioned.
it's right there in the middle on my banner.
Okay. Hold
You
on.
see, like, you can go scroll up. It's, like, my favorite.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's wild.
yeah, and I drew that only in, like, less than 24 hours. Like, um, like, my collector, Kenshiro, encouraged me to try out for this competition, and I was just like, "Wow, it's due tomorrow." Like, but then I just was like, "Okay, like, I'm just gonna draw, like, me because 'cause I'm a degen, right?" So,
There you go.
it's me, like, smoking pot, tripping on shrooms, like, rolling, like, all this stuff, and I just combined it into that character, and I did not know that I would get such great feedback. I was actually really nervous to submit it, but everyone loved it. Mhm.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing piece, and I love that it's when the guardrails and the constraints were taken off and it was just, hey, let's just elicit what comes out of you in this short amount of time. It became one of the most potent demonstrations of kind of your artwork and your talent, so that's super dope. From a creative process standpoint, both from a technical perspective and what you do, but as likewise how you prepare yourself. Do you still like to foray into psychedelics and be in a certain mind state when you try to do art, or not so much anymore? How are you, leveraging that?
Like, I'm just, like, going with the flow. Like, whatever I feel like creating, I'll just do it, and I'm just, like, a person that's, like, not very I can't be comfortable, so I'm, like right now, I just wanna learn, like, some VR and all that stuff and try to make that psychedelic and everything, but, I'm just I just can't explain it because I can't plan anything, like, I'm just going with the flow, and whatever
Yeah,
I feel like drawing and feel like putting out because, I can draw, like, realism too, but I don't enjoy it.
right.
I've always wanted to be a cartoonist, like, I can draw, like, portraits and I mean, I drew, like, a realistic cat and skull and stuff, and I was just like, it's just not my, style, even though I appreciate realism a lot, but I'm just more of a cartoonist, so I'm just going with the flow, like, I can't really predict what I'm gonna draw or do, you know?
Right. Well, I've heard mixed things on that, right? Because an amazing VR artist that we interviewed that makes these really immersive, trippy kind of locations that you go into, and it's 360 degrees all around you, and they're like, I can't do it anymore. Like, it gave me inspiration, but when I'm in there, it's so technical that I'll freak myself out. Like, I need to like get the inspiration and then be like totally sober to go in and do it. Whereas we've dealt with some other people that are like, when I'm in that zone, that's when the best stuff comes out. So I always find it interesting when people are experimenting, much like some of the best poets and writers of, known in history. Um, they tried to leverage that in different ways to get themselves to special mind states and really get the most creativity out of themselves.
Yeah, like, I'll just, like, smoke sometimes, like, and then but I cannot draw while I'm tripping. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Right.
there's no way.
Right.
I'm tripping or rolling, right? Like, I cannot do that, but, I'll create the art when I feel like it. But, like, my mind is pretty crazy too and trippy, so
Yeah, so you're already there. You
yeah.
just, yeah. I did have a question. You talked about a progression, like when you did the degens and you saw the response, you were like, this is beautiful. I can be more myself and not trying to
Mhm.
really fit the narrative. Is this almost sequential in time here? Because I see these 3D renders, almost, and then, you progress into some of this cultural art, and then it gets more trippy, and then, you're up here and seemingly your max recent trippy stuff, which is super potent and dope. So is this kind of chronological order? This was the early stuff down here,
Yeah.
and what's up with this 3D work?
The 3D work, I was like I went for it's still representing my culture, like, that is, like, a 3D of the Angkor Wat with, like, skulls representing the killing fields, genocide, and all that stuff, and
Okay,
I just wanted to try something different, and I make music. I'm not a pro or anything, but I'm just experimenting. So I made music for it, and, if you click on foundation, like, the brain in there actually, like, moves, and there's music and everything.
oh,
Um,
can we take a listen real quick?
yeah,
Oh, you know what, I'll have to drop this out and come back in. So tell me a little bit about that while I do this.
so, this one's called Afterlife, like, which is still part of my religion and culture. Um, Afterlife is about, like, what we think about death, and I believe in the afterlife and reincarnation. So that is supposed to, like, represent or symbolize, like, our brain is like our soul leaving our bodies, and then that skull there is like the death of us, and then it's floating within the universe, and the brain is to represent the cycle of life because it's still moving. And then I added a song like I made on Reason, and I'm not a pro, so but I was happy with it. So I was like, why not? I'll just drop this piece. And I did, and it sold.
Cool, let's check out the sound real quick.
Okay.
very ethereal.
Yeah, and it's short. It's like 30 seconds.
Right, right. But that's cool that you just fired up Reason and said, let me create here as well.
And I actually made it on my cell phone.
Oh wow, that's next level. That's next level right there.
I was using the app on my cell phone, and I was like, "Oh, this," I was playing around with it, and I liked it. So
Very cool. And so are you aspiring to do more with music, or are you doing that in parallel to your art at the same time, or you're just creating?
I'm just creating. I don't know where I'm going. I have no. I don't know. On this path, I'm just going with the flow. The only thing that was controlled there is the one of the lady, the dancer. That was controlled. That was picked to be in Paris Hilton's exhibit. She picked it, and it's actually on display in New York right now on one of those Link NYC screens for the whole month. So that was pretty cool that they picked my artwork. But Paris also picked mine, and this is a tribute to my mom, who is a Cambodian royal ballet dancer, and a tribute to my culture. And the dance is called Wishing. And my mom she was like a Cambodian um, dance teacher when we came to the U.S., and so I know how to dance. When I was when I was very young, I could dance like Cambodian dances. And I just want to pay tribute to my mom and my culture because our country is still pretty corrupt and it has a really dark history. And I just wanted to create art that could stay in the blockchain forever.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a beautiful thing. I know people have often talked about, hey, let's immortalize this moment and put something there that really encapsulates a statement or a moment in time so that it can live on forever through this tech. So beautiful that you did that for sure. Someone asked a question, and I think I'd love to ask it now. You work as an illustrator. I assume that's what you're doing in Miami, although you could be, your corporate office could be wherever, and you just choose to live in Miami, which would be cool as well. But what other mediums do you create in? Do you do logos and commercial work? Are you sculpting? What other stuff are you doing?
I mean, if you guys want to know my real life, what I've been doing, I'm actually an abstract artist and I do paintings for clients. And they're like abstract, and no one really knows about this until now. I don't even have the art to display it because I'm like anonymous.
Well, that's even cooler. That's super dope. We're getting all
Yeah.
the alpha. We're getting the alpha here, and that's what I do. So I like it. It's right in theme. But thank you for sharing that. That's very cool. So
Yeah.
you've had this love for the arts, and you're always creating. You're down there doing your real life gig as well, making this abstract art for people. How do you find your way into the crypto and NFT space?
So I've heard and was interested. Well, I've heard of Bitcoin since like 2009, but I wasn't really like familiar with it. Like no one like guided me with it or anything. But around uh 2017, I got into Ethereum because of my friends, so I knew about it. I remember like a coin was like $300 or something, you know. So I've been into crypto, but it's still not really like an expert. And then I just read about in March, I guess like Grimes. I love Grimes, and she like sold one of her pieces for like something crazy like 6 million. And I just was reading about NFTs and thought it was really cool. And I was like, you know what? Like, why don't I just show people my illustrations? Like, I'm an abstract artist now, like in real life, but I was always scared to illustrate because I would try to illustrate and I'm like, no one likes my artwork, like in the traditional world. Like I will post it and like no one really cared. Everyone liked my abstract work. So I kind of like stopped drawing, and then the reading about NFTs made me like, and like doing my research, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try this because it's for fun. And I didn't know that I would get this far with it and keep going. I have severe imposter syndrome. So sometimes I still get really nervous about showing my artwork. But yeah.
That I mean, that's cool. My understanding is actually you came to Maker's Place through their like curator referral program. So someone spotted you, right? And said, "Hey, this is an artist you need to pay attention to."
Yes, so my friend, um, Kate the Cursed, she is really amazing. She has been very supportive of me since the beginning of the space. Like, she's been supportive of me even before I did the psychedelic artwork. She's only seen the Cambodian um, cultural artwork, and she is such a young, talented, beautiful person that she really believed in me, and she even curated one of my pieces to be in the crypto exhibit in Paris and all that stuff. And then she invited me to be on Maker's Place, and it's been really great, and I'm so grateful for Kate.
That's very cool. And just, obviously she had a good eye because then you came out and, surprised everybody with this next level of psychedelic, amazing artwork. But if I understand correctly, you're actually one of the highest selling curated artists of that program. So,
Oh, wow.
you're definitely doing well, and we're talking to you early with only a few pieces minted that are in this style. So I'm sure you're going to do amazing things in the near future. How's that experience been like though? Like getting referred to them, did they, help you like kind of get established and get your footing or, was it kind of you're on your own? Good luck.
They've been really great, like they've been really helpful. Like, I've been talking to Greg and emailing him, and he is just like, if you need help with promoting your artwork and all that stuff, like, we are here to help. They've been like really good connecting me with you, like, just to help promote me. So I think Maker's Place is really great, and they, it's just very helpful. But when I had dropped the piece, I think no one, it was so fast. It sold to 888, and I think we were all really surprised, and it sold really fast within that hour. So Greg didn't get a chance to even promote my work. Um,
Right.
and then the next piece sold within like 5 minutes. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why, right? You have an amazing aesthetic, and I'm fans of. I don't know what I'd call it, but people that kind of play with this vibrancy with almost a sense of danger. People like,
There's kind
gosh,
of,
like Dalek, like there's kind of
I
there's a
love
group.
them.
Yeah, yeah, there's a group of artists that do this kind of playing with showing this playful kind of aesthetic, but there's this real sense of danger and or darkness behind it. So I can see why you'd be so sought after. I had another question about the NFT space because I find this interesting with people that have come in over the past maybe 8 months to a year or so. Did you find that COVID impacted your creative output at all? In that, like, you things are quarantined, people are a little less sociable, so you're experimenting more, and maybe that made this more appealing, or it was just the timing of when you heard about it?
It's just the timing because I'm an introvert already, so COVID didn't really affect me.
Okay,
So,
right.
I mean, it affects me, like, when I wanna go to the beach and it's, like, so many people, right? But I'm not that social anyway, and I'm always creating. Like, I am, like, surrounded by art, and I was always just doing, abstract paintings, right? So I have like two studios, like one where I draw and then one where I'm surrounded by canvases and all my paintings. And I was actually like out having my artwork in exhibits too, like my real art, my abstract artwork, but it's very hard to sell. Like, I'm trying to sell a piece for like 10,000, but I couldn't sell and wearing a mask and trying to network at the when I have the show and stuff, it has been really hard. I
So,
mean,
so on that, are you running dual identities? Like there, they know you by your government, and here you're alien queen.
yes.
Very cool.
It's like I'm the same artist, but I'm marketing to two different things
Right.
like
No, I get you absolutely. Like I have a corporate gig, and they have no idea who Nightmare is and what I do otherwise, right? And so I keep those worlds separate.
me
But
too.
I did want to talk. Speaking of worlds and of communities and people we surround ourselves with, I saw your derivative of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and I saw a lot of the things that you collected on OpenSea as well, being part of some of the profile pic communities. Talk to me a little bit about that. How did you get involved with that derivative, and how you feel about, community within the NFT space?
Okay, so with the Bored Ape derivative, I my friend Crunch actually came like talked to me about it, reached out to me because he was running an event, I mean, called Aped Collective. So this was exclusively made for him. Like I will not make any more derivatives unless it's for a specific event. So this was made for this specific event that was held in Venice Beach. So my NFT was at that party, at that event. So that was made for them specific. I'm so about community. I love the NFT community. I want everyone to be positive. Like, to me, the important part of NFTs is building the friendships and the networks and the connections and lifting up other artists. So community is just very, very important. And I'm also like a part of art direction on the Divine. Yeah, so we're going to talk about that collection where my friend Fintis, she is the main artist, and I'm like marketing and art director on the team. And, we're building a community in our Discord through her Divine um, collection. And we just want to enrich the community, the NFT community and our community, and put back towards the community. And community is really important. It's the only way for the NFT space to survive. You know, it's just super important and super important to uplift and help everybody.
Yeah, it's one of the beautiful things we find about this space for the most part is it's not a bunch of people trying to step on each other. It's, hey,
Yeah.
collectively, let's move. This is a movement, right? And we're all here so early that there's a lot of opportunity. Let's help each other and let that snowball for the most part. For the most part.
And Fintis, our artist, like me and her and Chemical Messiah in there, like we started together in the space, and it's just really great that we could run a project together. Like that's what it's about. It's about community and helping each other out in friendships, and
Right.
just experimenting, trying things out, and having fun.
Yeah, and being able to put that together with people that you had just met, maybe not long ago, via connections you made that are certainly deeper than people could understand because we're part of this community, I think is a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
Um, and being able to do that from, just people that you meet and have some, shared interests with and building those relationships, that's, it's different than what we'd encounter in the traditional spaces, right? You work in traditional art. You're out there trying to work that as well. Tell me about your thoughts on like artist empowerment and how the NFT space kind of changes that.
NFT space is amazing. Like everyone, they're not, like for me at least, not competitive. Like we are in it together. So I like to uplift everyone, and there's a bunch of artists that help me and share my work, and have a lot of friends who are amazing. Like we help retweet and share, and you know just like being supportive of everybody. And then when I make a sale, then I go back and put into the community as much as I can afford. And I think it doesn't matter how much you have, right? Like to me, no matter how much I have or how busy I am, I'm always still available for everyone. I try my best, like really hard. And because, the only way for artists to survive is to just support one another. And even though I don't have much, right? Like I try to support as much as I can back into the community, and I will like bid on some of art pieces that I like and collect a lot of pieces too.
Yeah, I keep joking that hopefully the tax man accepts JPEGs because all the winnings or earnings that I had through my trading over the past year, I've plowed back into NFTs in the market. So we'll see how that shakes out. But can definitely relate to when you find success and wanting to put it back into this movement and into this scene. Because it's so cyclical, but you just want to, right? You want to participate and be part of that collective movement. Someone just DM'd me a really interesting question or comment. Actually, they said, "These are so wild. I can't imagine how they'd look in the metaverse. Ask her if she's bringing any of these to any of the metaverses like Crypto Voxels or Decentraland, or are you not there yet?"
I'm not there yet. I need help. So if anyone wants to DM me and help me out, like I don't know much about those things. Like my head is always like in the clouds. Like I'm so I don't want to say ditzy or like in a bubble, but I need help with a lot of like technical things like that.
Yeah, well, no, I'm sure you'll get there soon with the fan base you'll accumulate here. I bet you before you know it, you'll have a really robust community of your own you're having to manage, and that'll be a whole different animal. But I did see you have an on cyber account, so you got kind of like your toe in the water.
Yeah, I do. I need to update it because I collected some more pieces and I really need to reorganize my gallery right now.
I did notice this tweet of yours. You were working on an airdrop for collectors or something of that nature,
Yeah.
and I think that's one of the unique things about this space is the utility of NFTs and how we can leverage the blockchain to really engage with collectors and fans, or depending on what kind of artist you are, in ways that you can't in the old traditional methods. If someone bought a work and took it home, it's gone. If someone consumed your music, but with NFTs, you can have an ongoing
Mhm.
relationship and say, "Hey, I still value you here. I'm going to do this." I
Yeah.
think that's super cool, and obviously, you're focusing on creating. You're not really delving into like too much detail into white papers and the technicality of it, but just naturally, it came to you like, "Hey, this is utility. This is building. I'm
Yeah.
going to take part."
Yeah, it just comes to me naturally. I do art for myself. I mean, like I need to create every day for my mental health. I sometimes deal with a lot of depression, um, and I need to create. There's some days I don't want to create, and then there's some days that I create so much obsessively. Um, to me, art has always been me. Like I'm art. Like I've always been like so like into it. Like that's why if I'm not doing this, I'm doing abstract paintings. Speaking of which, I have to finish one for a client. But I'm always creating no matter what I'm doing in my life. Um, so to me, like me doing an airdrop is just me doing another drawing and giving it away. And to me, it doesn't matter how much um my pieces go for. Does that make sense? As long as I know, even I will even give away my art for free, knowing that someone likes it. To me, that's important as an artist. The money is not important. It's just knowing that people appreciate or are interested in my
Right.
creativity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was a musician for some time, and I always would say, like, the worst thing is apathy. The worst thing is you put
Yeah,
something out and no one says anything. I'd rather have someone hate it and tell me how it made them feel really strongly that it was awful and it's the worst thing they ever heard or whatever. And I'm evoking emotion, right? So that to me, that's art. That's more valuable than anything else.
yeah.
So I can definitely relate. I know you said you have to get back to a commission you're working on, but I do have a bunch of questions from the community I'd love to run by you if you have a few more minutes.
Oh, no, I was just talking in general, like,
Oh,
I didn't
oh,
even
okay.
start for them yet.
Okay. All right. Well, they could wait a little longer because I got a lot of questions, so we'll work through them then.
Yeah.
Um, someone asked, that derivative was cool. Do you have any collaborations in the works?
Yes, I do. A big one. They're
A
like blue
big-
chip.
okay, blue chip. So can't divulge any of the details or clues.
They haven't announced it yet, so some people in the space know, so they better be quiet, hush about it because
Oh,
my good friends know.
okay. Well, we'll be on the lookout for sure, and excited to see what that manifests into. Um, as far as your next drop, is there anything we can expect or be on the lookout for so people that are interested in collecting can take part?
So right now I'm like really into working on my emotion series, which are my girls. So you can see like this whip right now. That will probably be the next piece, which is a self-portrait of myself. Um, I actually took a picture of myself in that pose. But anyway, um, I'm like really into drawing my emotions right now. So, you know, that's what I'm doing right now, but I can't really predict anything else. Yeah.
Right. So platform timing, all that to be determined, but it'll be probably like an emotions series.
An emotion series. I do have like a collection that's like really trippy too that I haven't released yet, which are not girls, which are kind of like it has skulls in it and like kind of like creatures and stuff. It's like a vibe, but I haven't dropped those yet and I'm debating if I should or not. And I
Okay.
also like to and one of the pieces has to do with gaming because I love video games. Like obsessed.
Really?
Yes. I got
Still,
five.
like it was an influence when you were younger, or still?
Still, like, I just remember my dad, like, we came to America and, like, my dad was an awesome dad because he bought Nintendo as soon as it came out, and I was, like, 5 or something, 3 or 5, and my dad was a cool dad, and he would play games with me, like, Nintendo, like Duck Duck Hunt and Mario and whatever,
Yeah.
and then I started when I got older, I was starting to play on PC Wolfenstein, and then I got obsessed with Metal Gear Solid in high school and Counter Strike and Resident Evil. Like I beat all that. And then as an adult, right? Like I went to school for animation and game design. So I am still like obsessed and like I was playing um a lot of like World of Warcraft during that time. And then I just stopped with Warcraft and now I'm playing like Assassin's Creed on PS5. I love Assassin's Creed and I will like beat all of them. I mean, like the latest game that I beat was God of War recently. Well, not recently, but like a couple years ago. But since with NFTs, I haven't been able to sit down and like beat Assassin's Creed Valhalla yet, but um I'll get back into it. But yeah, I love gaming. I'm obsessed.
Very cool. I got an Xbox Series X, I want to say January, and I've just been so caught up with everything I do here and with the NFT scene. I
Yeah.
think the only thing I've done is like my little guy plays Goat Simulator on it. Like that's about it. So I'm more of a PC gamer myself, but I had the opportunity to score the console, which I use sometimes with like my buddies because they're
Yeah.
not as into MMOs or RPGs like me, so I can get on like you said, like Call of Duty or FIFA or something. But I do have to ask then. So top, if you had to give me a top three, one, two, or three, whatever, some of your top games from your childhood, and then one of your top favorites from recent times.
So childhood, I loved Wolfenstein on PC. I probably was like in fourth grade or something. Wolfenstein was on the top, Resident Evil, and Metal Gear Solid. Those are my favorite games. Um, and then now would be I like Assassin's Creed Origins. I love Destiny 1 and 2. I really love Destiny 2. And God of War is my ultimate favorite of all games. Oh, and then I forgot BioShock. I really love BioShock. I
But yeah, Bioshock is definitely a vibe.
Yeah. I will like I had an addiction with BioShock. Like I was obsessed. I would like beat the game in like a day. Like it would be crazy.
I had to turn it off at night at some points. It
Yeah.
would bug me out. It was like one of those games.
Yeah.
But very, very cool. And I love knowing that when I look at people's art because sometimes I can see kind of the vibe and influence
Yeah.
kind of leak through as well.
And Alien Queen is like my PlayStation Network name. Like Alien Queen something or whatever. So then I
Okay.
put it into my NFT life.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Very cool. Um, Someone had asked, what are some of your favorite projects you've worked on outside of the NFT space, if you could say? It sounds like it's pretty secretive, so I don't know if you could answer that one.
Oh, outside of NFT space?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we could apply it to the NFTs. Like, what would be one of your favorite works or things that you've worked on, whether it was collaborations or your own?
Well, my favorite is the Degens. That is like my ultimate favorite. I just love that character. And I could not and it's actually a Degens. And so, it's very rare and that's it. And that's like my ultimate favorite. I love the community too. And yeah, like that's my favorite. And then the collaboration I'm working on right now is really fun too. And then I love working on my divine team. I'm just art direction, but it's really fun and you know, I love the community and everything because it's like, my project as well.
Right.
hmm
Well, that's definitely a prime list. Someone asked, what are some artists that you are a fan of?
So, does it matter if it's NFT or traditional or just any artist, right?
You know, that's how they framed it. So it could be any artist. It could be either or
Uh,
both.
I growing up, I love Mark Rothko, traditional art, and my abstract paintings are very Rothko-like. So I just remember being like 15, going to the Met in New York, and then just seeing a Rothko painting, the red one, and was like, I love Mark Rothko. And when you're doing artwork, you don't really think about the artist, right? Like you're creating, and then when I'm done with it, I'm like, wow. Like my friends are like, it looks like a Rothko piece. Like I never even thought about it. So Mark Rothko has been a big inspiration for me in the traditional world. Maybe I'll share some of my abstract paintings on Twitter sometimes. Um, and then I love Yayo Kasama. I love her vibrant, beautiful artwork. I'm like really inspired by her. And Marina Abramovich. She's a performing artist. I really love her work. And Salvador Dali is one of the biggest inspirations to me. I love there's a Salvador Dali museum up in St. Pete that I went to, and it's so amazing. And just to see Dali, like evolve, like his first artwork till the end is just mind blowing. And his artwork is very like surreal and dreamlike, and I just feel like I really resonate with him. So he's like definitely my favorite. And then in the NFT space, I really love Neurocolor and Xcopy a lot. Like I really love their artwork, like a lot.
Great choices all around on both traditional and the NFT space. We actually just put together a big virtual gallery of our X copy pieces. I think 24 of his earliest works in like a custom dark reflective
Oh,
whale sea gallery. I'll send you the link afterwards. It's pretty cool to jump in. Um, but certainly, I can kind of see now that you're talking about some of the traditional artists that you liked when you would go to the Met and some of the stuff that you dig. I can see the vibes all kind of coming together, but with your own flair and twist. And I think at some point someone will be citing you in the near future as one of their favorites and influences for what they do for sure.
oh
Here's an
wow.
interesting question. You've had some success after coming into the scene, and obviously you're continuing on that trajectory of growth here with some of the things that you're doing. Some artists come in and find that they have trouble getting traction. What would be some advice that you would give to new artists on how to get themselves out there and get a footing in the NFT space?
Just engaging, networking, lifting, being positive, being friendly with everyone, um, making friends, connections. My DMs are always open, so if anyone needs help with anything, I'll help them, the best that I can, that's appropriate. Um, Pretty much building connections, engaging with the community, if there's any like contests, like collections are doing contests and stuff, engage with that. It's really great exposure to to get visibility and show art. Like, I only depend on myself. I don't depend on anyone else. I don't need any influencers to help me. I'm just doing this all on my own. That is it. And to uplift other artists that are coming into the space is really important for me. No matter how successful I'll ever be, I don't, it doesn't matter to me. To me, it brings me happiness to just bring people up with me. So I think that's really important. I think I built a lot of connections and friendships that way. So yeah, it's just pretty much staying positive and have a good attitude coming into the space and doing it for fun. Like, you don't make art for money. I understand we have to survive, right? Like, but what were our lives before the NFT space is what I'm going to ask. The NFT space, yes, it's great that it's a full-time career, but don't let it stress you out whether you're making a sale or not. You know what I mean? Like, just go in and draw, because art is freedom. It's not a job. So that's what I think.
Thank you for sharing that perspective. Um, Someone asked, it seemed you've put out very deliberately how many pieces you have. What are your thoughts on scarcity and frequency?
Um, like, to me, it's all up to you. Me, like, I have no planning again. So when I do this, it's because I finished something. Like, it took me like a month, really. Like, I'll go back and forth, and I'm OCD changing the colors and everything. It, to me, like, I guess scarcity is really important, but like, it's all up to you, because there's, if you want to make additions, you can, for everyone to enjoy or whatever. I just, to me, like, I'm just not thinking about it. It's just easy for me this way, and it works for me. And um, you know what I mean? Like, I don't create a lot of artwork, and it's actually not deliberate. It's just very spontaneous. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like I finished that piece that month, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna just drop it now. Like, I
Right,
took so long to draw, because my brain is like, and I'm working on multiple different projects too, so that's why it takes a long time. Like, I'm busy working with the divine as well, and then um doing focusing on my solo piece.
right.
Oh yeah.
Well, it sounds like, by just following what you naturally wanted to do
Yeah.
because you were just expressing yourself in your art, things came together by continuing to stay positive and build your relationships. And quite honestly, I think you said at one point you just expressed yourself more naturally, right? You went through that
Yeah.
contest and saw, hey, when I didn't try to adhere to what I thought was going to be appealing or norm, that's when I had the most success. So I'm really happy to hear that that's the way it worked out.
Yeah, I just really go on everything based on intuition. I'm like very rebellious, right? So I like to listen to good advice from people that have a lot of knowledge, right? But like, when it comes to like my art and whatever, I just do what I feel, and I use my intuition, and it has been fine all along. It has made me happy. I think whatever makes you happy, you should do.
Right. Now, in turn, lots of people are happy, being able to look at these amazing pieces that you created, and if they're lucky enough to collect them as well. Alien Queen, thank you so much for spending some time with us this afternoon and taking our questions. Really, really enjoyed our conversation, and looking forward to seeing what you come out with next and how we can all take part in your journey.
Thank you so much for having me. Like, I'm so glad I could share my story, and I just can't believe like people like my art. But yeah, this has been really fun, and I'm always around if anyone wants to connect with me as well.
Very generous of you. We appreciate the invite, and we look forward to seeing the big things surely to come from you. You have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.